Hi guys, welcome back to another show. This week we're talking to Loyalty Lion CEO Charlie Casey. Now, for those who don't know, Charlie has managed, ran, founded a couple of different businesses, which we've talked about throughout the show, how he came to find Loyalty Lion, what his biggest inspiration was, and why he chose to jump onto customer loyalty and get customers to return to a brand. The best thing about the show, which tickles me every time I read it and when we've listened back over the show, is that Charlie started his entrepreneurial journey selling eggs at the side of the road when he was 6 years old, which I think is really impressive, and Charlie thinks is really funny and is like, holy crap, where did you find that out? But we do our research, we look into the people we interview, and we want to give you the guys the best show that we can. So yeah, this is possibly one of my favorites. Charlie is just a super, super nice guy. We had a really, really good chat, really interesting chat about all things. Again, we're talking about how he gets the best out of his day, what he thinks is important to running his business, how Loyalty Line came to be, why he chose customer loyalty, like we mentioned before. Just a really, really good, insightful chat. He's had such a journey and such a unique journey, I think, to get to where he is now. Charlie deserves all the success in the world. Again, I just really want to say thank you for him taking the time to talk to me and the time out of his day. I know that Loyalty Line is growing and growing and growing. As we're recording this now, they just signed up with Trustpilot, which is a massive, massive win for them. So congratulations to everyone involved. And I hope you guys enjoy the show and you get plenty of takeaways from it. Enjoy. Okay, so today we are talking to Charlie Casey, CEO of Loyalty Lion. Now, Charlie started his entrepreneurial journey at quite a young age, which I'm sure I'll go into a little bit more in the show, from selling eggs when he was 6 years old to launching Loyalty Lion in 2012. He's recently been nominated for the best use of gamification and also the Loyalty Magazine Awards 30 Under 40 Rising Stars in Loyalty. So, Charlie, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us today. We really, really appreciate it.
That's quite the introduction, Brad. I don't know where you found the egg story, but it's not a bad place to start.
I was prepared for that interview. That's what it was.
That's good. It's true. I did. Go on. Sorry.
Go on. No. I was just going to say, do you want to give our listeners a little insight into how the egg selling started, how Loyalty Lion came to be and stuff like that? A little bit of intro into your background into e-commerce.
Yeah, sure. So the egg business at 6 years old is my most profitable company ever. It's because my parents bought the chickens and the feed, and I just did the selling. So absolutely brilliant. I was pretty rubbish at it though. I do remember a time where I had the stand outside our house on the road, and I had all the eggs laid out, and there was me sat on the wall and my dog underneath me, like next to the stand, and on the other side of the stand my sister was sat on the wall and the dog underneath her, so it was like perfect symmetry. And a car pulled up and I thought, yes, I've got my first sale, this is going to be brilliant. And they got out of the car and they said, you guys look amazing, like I've never seen something like this, can we take a photo? I was like, what? They were like, yeah, can we just take a photo? I was like, yeah, if you buy some eggs. And they took a photo and they didn't buy any eggs.
No eggs. Wow.
That was the start of my career, but it didn't deter me. And Loyalty Line is actually technically the fourth startup I've done, and I'm not including the egg business there. But it did take some time. So if we just like rewind a little bit, I went to school like normal, and then out of school I studied economics at university. I do remember in my final year when I was supposed to be revising, I was actually listing business ideas as a distraction. And then I left uni and I went and did consulting at Deloitte because I thought that would be cool. I'll get exposed to lots of different businesses and variety, and I was in technology. But the itch to build my own company got too great. And after 3.5 years, I left Deloitte, and I actually spent 2 years after that with no salary whatsoever, which was fun.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, I left London. I crashed on my sister's floor in her spare bedroom, and just kind of experimented with different business ideas. And it took a while, but like you said, Loyalty Line was incorporated in 2012. Didn't really start taking off until last year. So yeah, caution to anyone who thinks gonna leave a nice high-paid job and start a business overnight. Unless you're a hell of a lot luckier than me, you won't. So last year was great. Loyalty Line actually grew 1,000%. So it does take some. Yeah, it does take some time, but last year was just like the growth was massive, and now things are really starting to take off, and I'm extremely proud of where we've got to.
Excellent. 1,000% isn't to be sniffed at, no way, and that's amazing. Absolutely amazing. So then you mentioned before you've had a couple of different startups. You sat and you listed business ideas, and it was something that you used to kind of chill out and relax and all stuff like that, thinking where you were going to be one day. What was it about loyalty in particular, and Loyalty Lion being completely pure play online, that sparked the interest? What is it about loyalty you thought there's a gap there, there's something missing there, and that's where I want to put my company?
So it's quite a long journey, as I alluded to at the beginning, but essentially I had a couple of ideas, and the way I went about coming up with my ideas was looking at things that I was interested in and things that I knew a lot about. And one of them ended up being an app for people to create events for other people around them, and then it had a gamification element to it. And we applied, me and my co-founder Dave, who built the app, to Startup Bootcamp, which is Europe's biggest startup accelerator program. And to get in, we were interviewed 20 times and presented twice over a 48-hour period, and we beat 200 other startups to get in, which was a great achievement, and it was a fantastic experience. And it was during that time period where we met lots of other entrepreneurs who'd been successful, some who hadn't, CEOs, VCs, and they all said to me, like, basically, you're going to be doing this a long time, like a lot longer than you think. So have a deep, hard look at yourself, what your skill set is and what you like doing, and find a business that fits with that. And then one of them said something to me that has really stuck with me for a very long time, and it's stop trying to come up with cool ideas and solutions, but instead look for a really big problem that's going to get worse. And we were actually at the time talking to lots of e-commerce retailers, and I started to hear like a theme, which was like, we're struggling with engaging and retaining our customers. We know how to acquire them. We do paid advertising, but the cost of that's going up. And then we struggle when it comes to engaging and retaining them. And we know that that's going to get worse because e-commerce is the fastest growing $1 trillion industry in the world. It grows at 15%. So they knew that every year they'd have 15% more competitors trying to take their customers away from them. And it was at this point that Dave and I were like, this is a problem and it's going to get worse. And actually, I quite like B2B, coming from like economics background and working in management consultancy. And I quite like the fact that with one customer and just one customer, I can prove that our solution works. So that's when we set about working on Loyalty Line. And actually, we built 7 different prototypes, testing different ideas in 3 months. It was just me and my co-founder, Dave. He worked nights, I worked days. So we worked in the accelerator actually for 24 hours the whole time. We were the only team.
Like
it was intense.
Like, you've like gone through the grind to get where you are. This is amazing.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you about the flat that we lived in. It didn't even have a bathroom.
Wow.
So, yeah, it's pretty crazy, but it was a really good experience. And by the end of the 3 months, we'd come close to what Loyalty Line is, and we presented it on stage in front of 400 people. We got loads of interest, and it was basically about another 3 months after that we launched Loyalty Line Prototype on an e-commerce store, and they were rewarding all sorts of activities with points, and we saw engagement go up like over 40% on these activities, and we were like, now we're onto something. How can we make this a business rather than build it for one company. How can we make it really easy for lots of companies to get this? So we wanted a turnkey solution that didn't need a developer to install it. And that took a year. So rebuilding Loyalty Line to make it turnkey. And now an e-commerce store that's built on Shopify, Magento, BigCommerce, Lightspeed can actually set up Loyalty Line without a developer. And in particular, Shopify, BigCommerce, and Lightspeed, it takes 4 minutes to get set up. And it's just like a click-by-click walkthrough. So it's really good achievement for us. And I'm very proud of what Dave's managed to do there, because he's the technical one. I just do the talking.
It sounds like it's been through the mill to get to where it is right now. It's amazing how you look at apps and companies and different guys like yourselves and think they happen, and they don't just happen. Nothing really just happens. Like the story behind getting to where you were and staying in a flat with no bathroom and all this kind of stuff, like it's the grind that gets it there. But now, like the company, like you just said before, 1,000% growth last year. The stats that you show on the website: 36% increase in average basket value, 4% reduction in customer churn, 1.1 million in revenue from purchases using loyalty rewards. It's like these are huge numbers for companies who are looking for your solution. It's not like you said before, the cost of acquiring customers is never going to go down. There's always going to be someone who is cheaper than you, more engaging than you, more competitive than you. It's one of those things that will never go away. Like you mentioned before, It's a huge problem for businesses when the churn is so quick and so fast.
Yep. So
then, how you mentioned before about all the iterations of Loyalty Line, and when you presented and you ultimately wanted to make it turnkey so that any platform could integrate. How is Loyalty Line now different than Loyalty Line when you first presented and you first created it to pitch to clients?
Oh, it's totally different. We at the beginning it was quite simple, but just had a few features, a few engagement points, and the way I look at the loyalty market itself actually is I look at it in parallel to email marketing. So if you rewind 15 years ago and you look at email marketing, it was like MailChimp was there with the worst interface I've ever seen. It's quite funny. Go try and look it up. And they just send newsletters. And now the ESP market is saturated. There are hundreds of businesses out there sending emails, but they're a lot more sophisticated. Like it's not just a newsletter. You've got customer segmentation, you've got automation, you can create workflows where different things happen depending on different events. They are very, very sophisticated solutions. The loyalty market is not much further along than where MailChimp was 15 years ago. And because we have the beauty of hindsight, we're able to leapfrog and do what they've done in 15 years in a few years. So Loyalty Line has already started making steps towards this with the inclusion of much more data. So retailers can build their loyalty program on insights. And looking forwards, we will aim to automate that to free up time, because all these fast growth retailers that we work with, the one thing that they don't have is time. So it's our job to help them reach a decision quicker, focus on where the biggest impact is going to be, and hopefully automate the 80% that we can do, so then they can come along and do the 20%, which is the bit that's unique to their business and where they can bring the insight and make the loyalty program really successful.
So then, do you think, going back to when Loyalty Line launched back in 2012 and data started to be something that companies were looking at because they were exposed to a little bit more, people were aware of different analytics programs and stuff like that, do you think the online loyalty explosion, I suppose, in terms of people getting involved in it, people are coming to you guys for solutions and stuff like that, data has been one of the driving factors because it's so readily available now from what a customer is doing, where they're going, where they're dropping off. Like you mentioned before, MailChimp started and it was literally send an email and hope for the best. And if you got something, it was a bonus. If you didn't,